I definitely do need a haircut, but what's wrong is the fact that I don't really know how to live, on what base, on what moral path. And the thing is, right, if a path is too clear, you're probably walking on someone else's. Fire quote makes sense. But the thing is, when a path isn't clear, it's scary. And when it's scary, it's kind of like a worm in your head being like, oh, let's go try this. It's kind of scary. And sensibly, you just don't want to do it because it's scary. But like, who cares if it's scary? The thing is, right, there's multiple ways to go about your life. Some people practice being moderate with stuff. Some people abstain completely from stuff and it works for them. Some people practice absolute sheer accountability, self accountability. And some people go ahead with forgiving and being loving and shit. And for the person who is fully self accountable to an extreme point where that's all they see, like that's all about how they see life, the person who's doing shit out of love seems pathetic, right? But the thing is, right, if you do practice absolute self accountability, shit will get better, but it will get better for all the wrong reasons if you take it too far, right? Let me explain. Let's say you do something wrong, right? But because you're practicing, absolute accountability, now you're like, no, this was wrong. I hate myself. And I'm gonna do everything I can to not make this happen. And if it happens again, right? Sometimes it could, Sometimes things are more leaning towards your subconscious or unconscious than right? And if you still perform said activity again, you'll just end up hating yourself. And then not doing the activity goes from being a sense of like a feat of overcoming to being just something you do to not hate yourself. And I feel like even though that works, it's just not a good way to live, because you will fail, right? Failure is a part of life, but you don't have to fail while also feeling shit about yourself. And when you do succeed, it shouldn't be because you don't want to feel shitty about yourself. You have to be mentally strong enough to love guide you instead of pain repelling you. Here's what I mean. If you do things out of love and you mess up, right? You can always say, oh, I messed up. I'm gonna try harder. And I'm gonna improve. Now, is it a lot harder to do this and actually improve than practicing hating yourself and improving? In my experience, yes, because I have hated myself before and I have loved myself before as well. And when I hated myself, the only thing I wanted to do was to get better. And objectively, the life I had when I hated myself was amazing. Right? I was waking up at 5:30, like the Kanye West song, right? The Ye song. The thing is, right, I was waking up at 5:30, just grinding, it's whatever. I was still unhappy. And am I happy? Yes, I think I am happy at this point in time. I'm also shit scared, but we'll come to that later. When I do things out of love, right? Because I have been practicing self-love and gratitude and all that stuff recently. And I do mess up, right? I often do mess up. There's days where I scroll, do the bad habits. And days where I just play Clash Royale for too long, scroll for YouTube for too long, whatever. And I do mess up, but I don't see it as, being pathetic and shit, because this is the life I've been used to for years. So it will take time for me to change. Time's gonna pass anyways, so It's better if I change with time than to stay stagnant and then eventually end up flat broke and dead. But the thing is, right, when you love and you love yourself, it is probably the only way to go about life without wanting to actively yourself all the time. What I mean is, if you actually practice the whole jig of, sheer self accountability with hatred in your heart, with being like, oh, I did this, that's why I'm a piece of shit. Why would you take care of something you don't love? Why would you take care of something you hate? Right? If a woman has an unplanned child and wasn't able to get an abortion, what do you think the chances are that she raises the kid really badly? It's the same with you. If you don't want to feel love for yourself, why would you even try to improve yourself? What are you doing it for? It's irrational. It doesn't make sense. That's why it doesn't happen. That's why people who hate themselves always end up finding themselves in the wrong positions at the wrong times, missing opportunities, and still ending up hating themselves even after they've been trying to improve out of pure self-hatred. Because that's like, throwing glass at a house made of rocks. It just doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, if you actually love yourself, you're gonna actively be like, since I love myself, I'm gonna try to improve this, which is gonna improve the quality of my life, which is gonna improve my mental health, my state of well-being, my peace. And I'm doing this because I love myself, and that's a reason good enough to improve myself and my life. Of course, if you ignore everything and just go on living, just scrolling through YouTube shorts, playing Valorant or some dumb shit like that, it could hit you at some point in life, right? If you're just playing like Clash Royale or some shit like Free Fire, I don't know. It can hit you at a point in time where it's like, oh, I can't afford food tomorrow. What now? And I don't want any person to go through that, but people will, maybe myself included. Of course, I'm aware of it, so I'm at least a bit ahead in fixing it. But yeah, it's always a cycle of messing up, then coming back, messing up, coming back. And people think it's like a bad thing to mess up, but it's like the glory lies in messing up. If you just overcame something extremely easily, then was it even a hard battle? Was it even a difficult battle to face? Maybe you're just too strong. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Who knows? All I'm saying is, if it takes countless attempts to do something, it's probably a very difficult thing to do. And if it's the difficult thing to do, then overcoming it means more glory, means more happiness when you actually do it. And that's fire. That is fire. So don't worry if you mess up, right? Don't worry too much. This time's gonna keep going anyway. You're gonna end up dead in a couple years. Not a couple years, but you're gonna end up dead soon. Nobody's gonna remember you in 500 years. So if you do mess up, don't make it a big deal. Of course, if you, mess up and harm someone else's life, they're gonna make it a big deal. But learn to forgive yourself and learn to ask for forgiveness from God if you are religious. Of course, if you're an atheist, you just have to rely on your own moral compass, which is kind of egoistic in my opinion, where you think your morality is innate. Anyway, let's not get into that. That's another topic for another video. All I'm saying is, love yourself. Be yourself and don't be afraid of messing up. And don't bug yourself or neg yourself. because of some shit that happened yesterday or even today, 5 minutes ago. Don't bug yourself over it, because you're not living someone else's life, so someone else's advice might not apply to you. You have to figure out, you have to live. You're still young. You'll improve. You'll get better. You're gonna be in a good position really soon. And if you're not, just wait for the good day to come. Just wait for the good period. Because good times don't last, but neither do the bad times. It's gonna come, it'll be good. As long as you focus on loving yourself and improving yourself because of that love, because of how much you respect yourself, because of how much you love yourself, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be amazing, brother. So, yeah, good night.